If you hadn't run away, every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play. And you couldn't handle that I had my ways. I found your magic and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. So you didn't win this, it's a part of the game. In the beginning I just didn't know that you're an enemy I held too close. Now I know, 'cause you did everything to prove me wrong. You were not the guy I thought. Now I'm beating you at your own. Yeah, if I got $1.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
How's
Good
it going? How
afternoon.
you all doing? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, ladies. Afternoon, everybody else that's here that sees us. For the few people that we have gathered. So we are live again this Saturday afternoon
Sorry to
from
the left.
UK BST time, 1 p.m. or after 1. So welcome for those that are watching already. Please do us honor of sharing this live. Please share this video to your page. Hello to, is it Tsega or is it Sega? Silent T, welcome. Please share our live, our supporters. Please share our live, those that have been rooting for us and are looking forward to this interesting conversation, because trust me or trust us, it is going to be interesting. So if you're a Christian in particular, if you're saved, even if you're not saved, jump on, because you know what a Christian is anyway. We are going to talk about Christians blurring the lines. Now, some of you may have seen the topic going through pages, being shared on a flyer, and guessing or wondering, what is this about? Well, one way or the other, someone watching this live today or someone that's going to watch this live today would have spoken about what we're going to speak about today, or would have been wondering what is going on with the modern day Christian in their beliefs, in what they are doing, and what they're accepting as morally right, and la-di-da-di-da. So you're going to find out exactly what we are trying to say. So whether you're tuning in from USA, I know it's quite early for our American family, because I think you're 5-6 hours behind. So those that like to rise and shine, maybe this will be your podcast, so to speak, or it would be your live show to wake you up in the morning, or just sit down and relax and watch us or interact with the show. But trust me, it's going to be interesting. So please do share, and share. So we're just waiting for more of you to come on, and I guess the others will introduce themselves, and then we'll dive right into this interesting topic. So ladies, how are we doing?
Hi guys, I'm doing good. How are you lot doing? How's everybody in the comments doing? Welcome again to GSI. As Lady T said, we're so happy to have you. We got an interesting conversation coming your way. It is so 110% going to be totally interactive. We want to hear from you guys, and I'm so excited about what we have in store for today.
Yes. Miss Rolo, what about you? Anything to say to our audience?
Well, hello, wherever you're tuning in from, Miss Rolo here. Welcome again to Girls Say It. We have, as my sister said, engaging action today. And so we just want to welcome you once again and get involved, get engaged. We want this to be an interactive session. We want to hear your opinions, not just ours. This is going to be an environment where we discuss thoroughly, openly, transparently, no hidden agenda or anything. We're just keeping it real and just being real with it. Let's learn from each other.
Let's do this.
That's the goal. Is awesome. The lesson from everyone. To listen to everyone and hear what we have to say, and hopefully we don't get too controversial. Is it going to be controversial today? Is it a controversial topic?
Well, we'll see. It's all a matter of opinion. It's all a matter of opinion.
Yes.
But thank you, ladies. Just to let you know, for those that are viewing us today, in case we have any glitches and stuff, we have 2 of us that are in the UK. We have 1 of us that's in the UAE, who's in Qatar. So all across different parts of the globe, across the ocean. So sometimes we might have a bit of little glitch, but do bear with us, because trust me, like I said, this topic, especially if you're saved, sanctified, delivered, is
In
going to
it,
be for you.
it's for y'all.
Very, very relevant.
It's for you lot.
And just to give you an overview, today we'll hopefully be covering as much as we can. If we can't, we will definitely try to continue so we're not rushing this conversation. But we want to talk about some things that have been going across media, in particular social media, because you know that's the biggest platforms where people are becoming aware of things and where people are following other people, trying to say they're inspired by some top leaders that are doing celebrity and fame lifestyle. We want to talk about, are people getting carried away with the celebrity and fame, you know, even as ministers and leaders?
Good questions, yeah.
Who are obviously being examples to others. We want to talk about the twerking, you know, mention some names, even though we may not want to mention, but you know, there was a controversy there with Chandler Moore, who is a renowned worship leader, just putting a bit of overview there. And the twerking in Christianity, is that acceptable? We want to talk about that. We want to talk about, you know, people that put their lovely pregnancy shoots out there and revealing all sort of things. So that's just an example, so you know where we're going. And then of course we also want to talk about those that just feel like it's okay to put a nice picture in a post with a scripture underneath. And obviously yes, music. I think we mentioned that one.
Yes.
Listening to secular music while you're trying to deliver a word, so to speak. So
yeah,
loads of different things, and that's why we called it blurring the lines. That's why we call it blurring the lines, because there's just so many stems that you can string this from, and we're going to try and go as orderly as we can. But ladies, which one should we delve into first? Are Christians blurring the lines? That is the biggest question. Are we taking things too far in terms of what we're supposed to believe in and in terms of the scripture and everything? Are we taking it too far in what we're actually doing nowadays in terms of mixing it with, should I say, worldly affairs, so to speak, as they say, we are not of the world.
Exactly.
Or are Christians becoming a bit too judgmental on things that shouldn't really be judgmental about, or be judged rather? So let's take it, for example. Should we take one topic at a time and, you know, delve into that? Because some of these, like I said, are big chunks on their own. Or do you want to face it as an overview in terms of blurring the lines? Should I throw one out there? We start with that.
Throw one out there. Let's freestyle it. Let's throw
Although
one out there.
before you start, though, I will say, as I like to do, whilst I was thinking about this topic and like preparing for today, you know how it says in the scripture, I can't remember exactly where, but you know, remove the plank from your, or the beam rather, from your eye, instead of pointing out someone's little piece of sawdust in their eye. So as I said, I was thinking about the topic today, and I mean, I won't lie, one of the first things I thought of is, how about GSI, you know? How about Girls Say It? Because really and truly, each one of us on the panel, we're all Christians, and we've said that before. We've never shied away from that. But we cover trending topics. We cover real life issues, you know. So let's deal with not so much the elephant in the room, but let's deal with our house. Let's put our house in order first before we cover the other issues centered around this topic. Now, what I would like to say is, yes, as you know, as I said, we are all Christians. We're believers, hardcore believers, or whatever core believers you want to call us. But we, our platform is to discuss all issues of life, not just Christianity, but any sort of real life issues that anyone may go through, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be relationships. And we try our best to not be overbearing when it comes to our beliefs, but at the same time, we try and throw in and guide as much as possible in line with Christianity. So although some people may look at Girls Say It as a secular show, or as something that's in the world, or they may see it as a show where we seem to be blurring the lines, the truth is, the reason why we decided to talk about real life issues is because we don't believe that there is such a thing as just Christian domestic violence. If you understand what I mean. There isn't just issues that Christians go through that some unbelievers don't go through, you know. And also another thing we wanted to do is to try and find a way to advise people on how to not necessarily just convert. You know, we're not just out here trying to evangelize and just trying to win souls and just, you know, just purely focused on spreading the gospel. We're trying to help people, you know, and we're trying to help people in the best way we know how. And we believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. but we have to expose people to the advantages and to the joy and to the peace and the fulfillment of being a Christian. And part of that fulfillment, part of that joy is having access to help, having access to sort of like holistic environments, having access to conversations that will help you, that will guide you into this greater, higher power, you know. So Girls Say It, yes, we do deal with some real life issues, some secular issues, but we are always going to fly that Christian flag. So don't get it twisted. We may talk about plastic surgery, we may talk about filters. Yes, they're real life issues, but at the end of the day, we are always going to talk about them from our own personal perspectives, which is always going to be aligning with Christian perspectives. So I thought I should throw that out there first so that we clear up the issue of Girls Say It possibly blurring the lines.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you, and the Slates for that. I guess I don't need to pour too much on that. You've covered that. You've dealt with the elephant in the room. So let's delve into one particular topic at a time, or one issue at a time, so we're not all over the place. So I'm going to start with, in terms of blurring the lines. Now, I'm going to use this person as an example, and the only reason why I'm using him as an example is because he's actually a renowned worship leader who has actually come, especially during this COVID time, out tremendously. A lot of people know this person, a lot of people engage with his music, a lot of people find him anointed, including myself. I love his music, I love him to bits. I still do love him despite what happened recently. Now, I was a follower of that. I read a lot of the comments, and because I too wanted to learn from a Christian perspective how people think, and there were a lot of views going back and forth, and I thought that kind of worms that he put out there really opened up to see how Christians think, how we behave towards one another, and our perspective on real life things, like Anders Slade said. And that's why we even have this platform as we have here today, and this particular topic. Now, this particular person I'm talking about is Chandler Moore. And if you are saved, sanctified, and delivered, and even if you're not non-Christian, most people would have somehow come across his music, especially because of Maverick City. Now, you know, I didn't really want to go there because I didn't want to like, oh, my poor child, now I'm talking about him. I feel like I'm crucifying him, you know, throwing him under the bus and bringing him up. And then I wanted to also was thinking, oh, it's a topic that's, you know, it's gone and dusted. It's a thing of the past now. It's already done. Why are we bringing it up again? But to be honest, it's still something that's relevant till today, because as far as I'm concerned, it is something that it's almost a matter of opinion, and it'll be really interesting for us to discuss it as Christian ladies, of course, and even the people that are interacting, as to whether or not we as Christians are really going too far in terms of blurring the lines, or we too are just a bit too judgmental on things. Now, this guy, just to give an overview for people that don't know, and for people that do know, we'll still brief an overview. He put out a picture, and bearing in mind he's just got married, so he's put out a picture of him and his wife. I wish I say in a sexual way, so to speak, because some people may want to read it. But anyway, she was bending over, and she had basically her butt or her bum on him. Now, he did put in the caption, it was like to do with twerking, which is now going to bring another thing that we're going to discuss about Christianity and twerking, which is what we're going to talk about, ladies, by the way. But he opened up that kind of worms about twerking, you know, and you can clearly see that he's like, so long as she's my wife, this is the message I'm putting out there. I am married. So if I am married, I can do whatever I want with my wife. But I feel that the issue that we, you know, Christians, and just not just Christians, anybody that's on social media, is that if you put your business out there, it becomes a public matter. It's no more private, it's now public. Therefore, everybody has the right to give their opinion, the right to say what they want to say. So there were a lot of back and forth in the comments, like never ever before. Some people were on the verge of congratulations and they were very happy for him. And then there were others that were dealing with what they saw. Specifically, like, you know, we got some Christians that just cut straight to the point, no nonsense. I'm not going to pretend like I don't see what I see. I see that woman has her bum up to your
Tings.
up to your tings, and we're going to deal with that. Like, you that's supposed to be leading us to the throne of grace, how dare you put that kind of picture out there, regardless of if you're married or not. Some things are for private matters. So ladies, what are we going to say in terms of that picture, and in terms of twerking and Christianity. Should Christians really be twerking with their partners? I mean, twerking, remember, came from, who did it come from? Was it Cardi B, or I don't know who it came from, but somebody started the trend of twerking. And we know what twerking is about, unless you want to be blind and say you don't see twerking. As long as you're on social media, you would have seen somebody twerking at some point, even if you don't want to see it. Because the thing is, you've got bloggers spreading people twerking, you've got all these other people that just somehow randomly come on your feeds, even if you're not following them, twerking. So we can't even ignore it. Now we've got a great gospel singer who, like I said, is gifted and anointed. I don't care what anyone says. God can use anybody. That man is gifted and anointed, and I still listen to him and love his music to date. But you can clearly see what he did. And a lot of people were even saying that day, I'm going to unfollow this guy because I've been put off simply because of a picture. Your salvation was questioned. You two had no self-control. You saw a picture like that, you said, I'm not going to follow this guy because I don't like the way his picture looked like. Is that right for Christians to behave like that as well? So there's so many things, so many questions that I can ask on this, but let's obviously deal with the picture first. We'll take it a bit of time. Was that picture right to put it out there, ladies? Was he right in the position that he is in? Bearing in mind that he's just got married, he's excited, obviously. He now justified it and said that the wife was dancing on him. That's why he just put a picture up there. And he did apologize at the end of the day. But did he even need to apologize is another thing. Let's deal with the picture first. Was he blurring the lines? Going back to the question of the topic. Would you say someone like that is an example to so many people? Was he blurring the lines?
First of all,
okay, go ahead.
Do we happen to have a picture of this incident, this so-called incident? Like, I think it would be nice.
Oh, we don't.
We have a picture. I don't know if we can quickly get that halfway through at some point. But
let's see if we can.
Techie guy, if you can get it, that would be great. But nonetheless, I think what you've described kind of gives us an idea of what we can expect from the picture, which is obviously they'll probably have a little
still there.
Of course, it's still there. Didn't take it down.
Basically, that when you said that, when you described what they were doing, the song that came to mind, and bear in mind I'm a Christian, the song that came to mind is "Baby When You're."
I get so excited.
Anyway, I digress. In my opinion, it's a tricky one. But what I will say is, I think as Christians and as Christian folk, we tend to hold our leaders on a high pedestal, like extremely high. Like if you're a leader, you are expected to do like God will do, like Jesus H. Christ would do. And it's like, you can't slip up, you can't have any mistakes, you can't be human, you have to be superhuman, supernatural all the time. That's my opinion of the whole thing. I feel like as Christian folk, we tend to forget that these leaders are human, first of all. And I think we get caught up in the fact that they can take us to that holy place. But at the same time, we forget that they're just vessels. They are not God the Father. So bearing that in mind, I think we need to be careful of how judgmental we get, or how much we hold these leaders almost like to the point where they can't they're what's the word I'm looking for? There's a particular word. It's not coming to my mind at the moment. But you know what I'm trying to say without going in too tough. I'm just trying to say that, guys, man, these people are human. That's what I'm really trying to say. And I'm not saying that, okay, but once you become a leader, or once you're in a leadership role, that, you two should not act a certain way. And there's an expectation and a responsibility that comes with that leadership role. Yes, of course, there is that expectation. But obviously, when we say blurring the lines, that means that there's a line there in the first place to be blurred. So I think what we should do first is talk about, what is this line? Before I even go in about my opinion, what is this line that we're talking about? Let's identify, what is this line? What is this boundary? Talk about it.
What I would say, just going a little bit back to Chandler, and I like what you said, Miss Rolo, about these people are human, and us who are not all of us are leaders, and of course there's a hierarchy. Some of us are like GOs. Some of us are head pastors. Some of us are just pastors of departments. Some of us are just leaders of departments, you know. The truth is that when you take up a position of leadership, I think you are accountable to some degree because you're leading people. And I think as a worship leader, I mean, let's face it. Oh, there's the picture. Let's face
There's
it.
the picture, guys. The few
Like,
that are watching.
the choir or
go.
the worship ministry is one of the most harshly criticized ministries in the church. Like, let's just go there first of all. If the choir comes late, it's a showstopper moment. The pastor must come up, or the head of the church must come up and say something. If the choir are dressed inappropriately, again, a showstopper moment. So, you know, unfortunately or fortunately for Chandler Moore or for the other worship leaders or singers out there, choir members out there, yeah, you are going to be in the spotlight the majority of the time when people are correcting. But what I do want to say mainly is that, you know, I'm a worship leader, and I can't lie to you. When I get on that stage or when I start ministering, I try my best as much as possible to leave all flesh behind. So in one way, when you climb the stage, you almost become someone else. As Miss Rolo said, you become that vessel, and you're only that vessel at that point in time. Everything else escapes you. You don't think about your problems. You don't even think about how well the song is going, because at that very point in time, you are being used. You are 100 or 1000% a vessel that is being used by God. So I do understand why some believers or those following would look at these people on stage or whilst they're leading them into worship and think, oh, this person is so holy. This person is so anointed. This person is so perfect, you know, and at that point, it would be very difficult for them to see these individuals, as humans just like you, who have the same issues, who are possibly struggling with, I don't know, fornication, adultery, lying, whatever you want to call it. They struggle with the same kind of sins as everybody else. They even enjoy the same kind of movies, sometimes the same kind of music, the same places to go out and eat as you. Like, there are no differences between these individuals and you. So I think more, again, what I'm trying to say is going back to the line now. Here's where I think the line is. I think for those people who are being ministered to and who are being led, there's a line that they sometimes create. And that line is that these people that are on the stage or on the pulpit or behind the pulpit are up there. They are close to God. They are meant to be like God. They are like God on earth. They are like Jesus Christ for us. And that's simply not true, as Miss Rolo said. But then there are also those men of God and those women of God, those ministers, those leaders rather, that climb the stage and they make it very clear that we are not like you. We are your leaders. We are closest to God. We are God on earth. You know, we are Jesus Christ's replacement. We expect this from you, and this is who we are. We do not slip up. We do not mess up. So again, going back to the line, I think these are the lines, in my opinion, and these are the lines that are becoming blurred. I don't know if it's an issue of sort of old time religion and millennials. I don't know how we go about looking at, I don't know, removing the line or trying to explain the line. I have no idea. But I think, as Miss Rolo said, it's very clear. It's about understanding, okay, so clearly there's a line. How far away from the line are we meant to stem? Like, where does this line even begin or end? You know, and again, that's why this topic is so important. How do you know when you're blurring the lines? Again, one of the things I thought about when I was preparing for this show is, like, how do you question someone when they tell you, well, God said? Because some of these people can come up and say, you know, well, I thought about it and God was dealing with me and he led me to this, and, you know, and I did this, whether or not you agree with it or not. Maybe someone's doing something that promotes the word in a particular way. And as Lady T mentioned before, we're moving a bit forward here, but just to provide a bit more explanation, you know, they may use some sort of secular music to drive their point or to drive the message or to gauge people. If someone comes out and says, well, the Lord says, you can't really argue with that. You know, so how do we know when we're blurring the lines? Where is this line? Where does it begin? Where does it end? The only thing that I can think of is when you as a leader or as a minister, you climb the stage and you set the line. You make it clear that you're not like anyone else and that you deserve a certain level of respect and people shouldn't look at you like you're a human being. That's where you've created your own line. And then, of course, there are those that are following. You start to idolize the ministers. You start to idolize the leaders to a degree. You are creating the line. So how we solve this problem, I don't know, but we're open for the discussion. So that's my piece. That's my 2 cents.
Thank
or
you.
15.
Thank you. Thank you, and the slaves. And you made some seriously valid points there. I mean, it got me thinking to the point, especially being in the position of leadership. And it is a case of who sets the standard. I've always asked that question. I've had debates with people about this, and I'm like, okay, fair enough, that's your opinion, and this is my opinion, but who sets the standard? Because to be honest, when I saw this Chandler Moore picture as an example, I had a divide of opinion myself, and I had to go through even the comments to see how Christians argue their points, just for me to also learn as a leader. Because at the end of the day, people are inspired by leaders. There's a leader that pours into myself, for example, a husband. There's another leader that probably pours into Chandler Moore, because Chandler Moore will have what they call spiritual fathers or a mentor that he is accountable to. That's the truth. That has poured into him and probably showed him, you know, where the line is, what you can do as a leader, what you can get away with. You know, we have leaders of today, and I'm going to throw out another example who we will discuss about later, another renowned pastor, Mike Todd, who's obviously setting another trend for other people that are upcoming that want to be leaders or are in similar roles to Chandler Moore, for example, and saying that you can do this and it's safe to do that, you know, because at the end of the day, which is true, we have our Bible and we have our leaders that we look up to, which you have rightly said, and the slaves. And sometimes the Bible, as black and white as it is not really clear cut on what we should and shouldn't be doing. So then what do? We go to our leaders who show us that, oh, we've got revelation from the word. Yeah. You know, this is how I understand it. I've got grace for the words. You know, we are living in a time of grace. And when we live in a time of grace, which everybody knows, if you're a believer, should know what that means. That means, of course, that if you do something wrong, your sins are kind of blotted away, so to speak, because Jesus that has come and died for us. Therefore, okay, then fair enough, we shouldn't be abusing grace, to be honest, which is true. We have the people that believe 100. In that. We shouldn't take the mick out of grace. But at the same time, we should also believe that God forgives us and we can do all sorts of things, whether we like it or not. Then you've got the people that are just so holier than thou, who seem to feel that they know it all. And I don't know where they get that from. You know, but we know that there's that spirit of religion where you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't show it in public, you show it in private. And then somebody brought a very, very good point on here, which is something that we would have to address, you know, at some point. And I always also ask that question: who are you as a Christian behind closed doors? Who are you as a Christian in public? Because what makes you different, whether you're doing it in private or public? You know, because at the same time, our Bible talks about hypocrites, and that's a typical hypocrite. If you're practicing something different behind closed doors and you're bringing something different to the public, because once again, we do what we do as Christians sometimes, people pleasing. And because we know the people that are following us, we just want to please the people that are following us, we're going to act a different way in public to what we do in the private. Why would you live? Why does that make that any different? Really and very truly, good point. I'm a firm believer of that. What you practice behind closed doors, you better be practicing that in front of open doors, because you ain't any different. If we don't see it, God sees it, and we're all on the same race. We all want to make it to heaven. We all want to live right and righteous. So I don't know if you're living for people or you're living for God, because if you're living for God, you better be living right behind closed doors and in front of the public. That's my own little 2 cents then. And I had to pick on that point because somebody said that in the comment section. I think that's very, very valid. Now, if most of these people that are quick to judge, quick to criticize and everything like that really removes their own closet doors and opens their ass wide and loud, and we can see that, yes, they live righteous behind closed doors and in front of closed, then we could say your opinion stands some weight. You know, but like going back to the leadership and going back to the role that, you know, Chandler Moore is he is a leader, and people are following him. And I think there is that move and there is that wave with him and Mike Todd and then some other people that I follow that I know that are out there. You know, they are leading a new wave, and that's what we're talking about today, of modern Christianity, where they're trying to say that you may listen to secular music behind the scenes. then you might as well listen to it in public as well. I
My
think
man's
some of
telling me
them-
no.
because and I give another example. I mean, Chandler Moore. I mean, I think it was his birthday, and he was listening to a Drake song. And Christians, once again, they came with their mighty army for him and saying, "Well, how can you be listening to Drake music when you're, when you're supposed to be leading us and anointed? You're such a anointed singer. You're only supposed to be singing about Christ." And somebody said, "Well, if it's your birthday, that's right. As a Christian, you can go and listen to Sinach when we're having a party." Some of us will be listening to our Afrobeats and different things that we like to listen to. But once again, who is setting these standards? Who is telling us that is right and wrong? Is it our Bible or is it man? Have you gone to get your own revelation of the word? Different things like that. But I think what they're trying to show us is that Christians, sometimes we are putting too much pressure on ourselves to be a certain way to please an audience, but you are not authentically that kind of person behind the scenes. So you can safely listen to some certain music. So you can safely put certain posts out there and you can still be saved. But then again, I understand the other point of things. And this is where I go to the other side. That's why I said I was a bit divided, where you've got people that are not spiritually strong. That because they're following you, they can still backslide. You've got Christians that struggle with certain addictions like pornography, that have no self-control, because it's not everybody that has self-control. That's the truth. That can see a picture like what Chandler Moore put up and be like, oh, okay, wow, so as a Christian, wow, I can actually do that kind of thing. Let me go back onto my computer screen and do what I know best, what I'm struggling with. Or they can backslide, because they've seen that sort of picture from somebody who may be some form of an idol, an inspiration to them, so to speak. So this is where we get it gets a bit dicey, and it gets a bit dicey for those that are upcoming. Now I see, for example, and I'm going back to him because I do love him. I'll pass the torch. He tries to come down to that level. You can see what he's trying to do to win those younger souls, because the truth of the matter is we have a lot of young generation Christians, definitely, that are young. That's true. And even not just young people, even older people that are still babies, still sucking milk. It's a level of Christianity in your conviction. This is how it goes. You've got the people, the Bible talks about it as well. Those are meat, solid meat. They know their word, they know their truth, they know their realness to themselves. And they're on that level forever, mate. And then you've got those that are sucking milk and they're a bit divided. And so those may be the ones that may want to try and milk the Christianity and find a balance. And I can see what he does. He is very strategic. He's coming down to those people to show them that, okay, you're still warming up to Christianity. So yeah, you can be 1 foot in, 1 foot out almost, trying to listen to a bit of music, trying to do certain things that you like doing, trying to show a bit of cleavage and all that kind of thing. But you can still love God. And that's the truth. Who are we to judge? Those kind of people, we can't judge them. They can still have the love of God, and God may still love them equally. Their heart is still pure. God looks at the heart of man. That's the truth. That their heart is still pure. Their character is still pure, but maybe just their dressing ain't all that pure. But maybe the time will come when they start sucking up, when they start eating solid food, like the Bible speaks of, and they start having their meat, and they might be convicted, like, what am I showing my assets for? Who am I trying to impress? Maybe I should, put that to one side. But here am I drawing different examples. But yeah, that is my little 2 cents. So in terms of blurring the lines, obviously there's a standard. Who's the one setting these standards? I follow so many people and I look at how they live their life inside and outside. And I know what people are trying to do. They probably think about, okay, should I put this kind of picture up? Is it safe to put this picture up? Is it safe to put this post up because of what other people are going to say? I keep emphasizing it's people. And we know how, because Christians love to drag. And that's the truth. They drag Chandler Moore. We like to drag our own people, which sometimes is not fair. We come across very judgmental. That's the truth. So a lot of people will be like, should I put this? Is it safe for me to put this post? Is it safe for me to put this picture? Because people are going to come for me. And the thing is, even as leaders, people come for you. Even when you have a matter of opinion on your scripture, people come for you anyway.
Yep. Every which way.
Either way, even when you are speaking in tongues, people will come for you and say, why are you speaking in tongues? Some people don't believe in speaking in Holy Ghost tongues. People will come for you with the way you preach your word and how you digested the text. Why do you preach that word like that? So either way, unfortunately, Christians are not helping each other. We're the ones that are dragging each other. But then we need to go back to the word. What does the word of God say as our standard? Really, what does
Mhm.
the word of God? And that's what we should really be following more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
anything at all. But yes, once again, I get it. Some people don't understand the scripture that well, and they need some form of guidance. They need a mentor. They need someone to lead us. Even leaders need a mentor. And that's what I was
Yeah.
saying to you before. We all have our mentors. We all have our upper leaders that we're following, that we're inspiring. Because sometimes we don't get what the word is saying to us. Sometimes
Yeah.
it looks like it's a contradicting text. It tells you one thing, it tells you another thing in another passage. And we're all trying to get and understand it. So we're all growing. But this is our discussion today, guys. We're talking about blurring the lines. We have eyes, we have ears, we see and we hear. We put that picture up and we know what that picture is showing. If we're going back to the topic again. And as a human being, when you see that picture, let's face it, please put that picture up again for those that joined. When you see that picture, let's be real. You know, let's
Pause.
be real. Everybody's eyes might have raised an eyebrow or two and be like, what is going on here? Especially for somebody of that position.
You know, I
Guys,
just
it's
have to
hard.
say that I mean, let's deal with this picture now. I think let's deal with it. And I'd say for myself personally, I thought it was very inappropriate. I and you know, I go back a little bit. I really like what you said, Lady T, at the beginning about Chandler Moore. You didn't just say that he's an anointed man of God. You said he's anointed and he's gifted, because the truth is there's a difference between the two. As Christians, we should know this. Even if you're on milk, you know that there's a difference between being anointed and there's a difference between being gifted. And rightly so, Chandler Moore is gifted and he is most certainly anointed. I'm not sure if it's just by my standards or, you know, by whoever's standards, but based on what I can see and based on what I can feel, based on when he leads worship and where it takes me to, I believe that this man is definitely anointed. Again, rightly so, he's not perfect. Personally, I think that the photo or whatever it was, the GIF, was very distasteful. I think it's distasteful because, not because he maybe didn't know what he was doing. I think he knew what he was doing, but there wasn't, I don't think there was a lot of conviction when he put that picture out. I don't think he realized or he cared rather about how sensitive it was, because as you know, Lady T, I don't think I've ever seen you put anything out there that I would find controversial, but I don't know if that's just my bias, you know?
Yeah.
But it's obvious. Even me, myself, you know, I'm not a world-renowned person in the Christian industry, but I am still very careful about what I put out on social media. One, because I'm private, and number two, to just remove any sort of unnecessary judgment. Of course, there are going to be some things that I put up that some people still find distasteful. But to the degree of where it involves a level of intimacy, I think that's where the core issue here is. Like, bearing in mind, and I'm not dragging Chandler Moore because I love him too. I love him as a minister. I love him as a brother who I don't know too well. But, you know, just generally, you know, I'm not dragging. I don't want to drag him, but I will say that, you know, this picture that he's shown us, he can't use the excuse of saying, well, she's my wife, so now I can do what I like. It doesn't work like that, because then you might as well shoot a porno and say, well, that's my wife. Do you understand what I mean? We know that you and your wife are now able to legally, in the eyes of the Christian family, have sex. That's okay. You don't need to show us that. That's the first thing I thought of. You don't need to show us that you guys can grind on each other and no one can judge you because you're married. The truth is, we don't even really care. So you showing us that image, what did you really want? What were you expecting? Were you just expecting hurrah? You know, what did you want? You knew you were putting out an image there that was controversial, but the truth is, you thought you would get away with it because you put a little bit of Christian text underneath. Let's be real, Chandler, my bro, you know. Let's be real. It's like those ladies that we've spoken about this before, one of our GSI topics. Them ladies that like to show off their assets, you know, and now put a little scripture. God has blessed me with, endowed, whatever. I don't know. You can't do that, you know. You really can't do that. Fair enough, it's your body and you're proud of it and you're proud of what God has given you. And at the end of the day, if you're not strong enough to withstand whatever, then that's a you problem. That's not a me problem. No, no, ladies, no, gents, no. And I'm sorry, it's a no from me. I think that if it was an honest thing and you were just celebrating, there's a thing called privacy on Instagram, you know. There's a thing called, you know, when you go on your stories and you can only show it to your close friends, you can do that, lovey. You can, you know. If it was really innocent or if it was really given thought, then again, that's something you can do. If you're not sure about whether or not you're going to receive backlash because you are a pastor. I mean, should we expect to see TD Jakes grinding on his wife?
Hey.
Should we?
Sorry.
Or are we going to now say, oh, they're old, so they're not allowed to do it? Come on. Like, come on. Where are we going with this? And again, how are we blurring the lines? If the Christian folk don't speak up and say, China, this, I mean, I don't agree with the way he was bashed, don't get me wrong. But as I said, I disapprove because I think it's unnecessary. It makes no sense. And I do think that there was room for correction. I don't agree with the way the correction was delivered, but I think that there was room for correction, because then how do we say that, how do we stop blurring the lines if we allow certain things to just like brush over? I mean, what's next? We're in the millennial season right now where people, so much is being accepted, so much is being defended. So what's happening? What's next? What's happening in the next 10 years? What's happening in the next 12 years? Is it going to be then okay for a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or for people who are dating, people who are engaged to do that, and they then say, well, I mean, we're going to get married, so, you know, what's the problem? Everybody knows that we're together. We're not hiding it. You know, we do it behind closed doors, so why don't we just do it openly? Or we kiss each other in a sexual way behind closed doors. Why can't we just do it openly? Do you know what I mean? And I remember I said this to you, Lady T, that I personally have 2 Instagram accounts, yeah? One of them, and this is not about hypocrisy, one of them is for people who know me well. And I'm still trying to clear out that one because that was my first Instagram account, who know me well. And, you know, they know Amanda, and there are certain things that, there's a certain a way that I behave. I'm very playful. I can be a bit loud sometimes. But on the other hand, my other account is really just for Girls Say It. And people who don't really know me that well, and people who don't need to know me, who don't need to know what my living room looks like, who don't need to know what I do when I'm on the school run. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to know that. So for that reason, I'm keeping my private life separate from my, my, if you like, service life. And this is service in terms of the job that we do, of course, with Girls Say It. Now, yeah, I can blur the lines, but if I blur the lines, if I bring both together on each platform, then I should expect to receive a level of judgment. I should at least expect some opinion about it. And if I don't want an opinion about it, then I'm going to remove the 2 and keep one separate. That's just how I see it. So rounding up, I do disapprove, but I only disapprove because if you invite that to the whole world, then you invite the whole world to have an opinion. And also, again, as Lady T says, you can't expect people to behave a certain way and just get on with life. When you've put that information out there, they're going to feel uncomfortable if that's something that they struggle with. If, for example, their leaders in their church have said to them, well, you know, twerking is not good, and, you know, showing that kind of affection is not good whether you're married or not, and we sing Chandler Moore songs in church, of course someone who sees that image is going to think, I'm not sure about that. Do you know what I mean? So that's me. Anyway, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to take over. That's me.
Yes. Well, Miss Rhoda, over to you. Sorry. Don't want to look like we're taking over.
Yeah.
Go on. Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, you're mute. You're mute. Are you on mute?
You're mute. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, a number of things come to mind when I looked at this picture. Initially, the first thing was a human thing, which is, okay, this is a bit awkward. This is not really appropriate. You know, that was my first initial thought, was that, you know, knowing who he is and what he does and what he represents as, you know, in the Christian kingdom and community, it was a very unnerving picture. So for me, I get it. I get it completely. You know, I get why people would come for him. I get why he'll be dragged. I get why people will condemn him and just shut him down because of what he represents. And so I think the line that we're talking about here is a line of basically appropriateness. I think that's what we're trying to say here. The line,
that's right.
To establish what that line really means or what it represents is appropriateness. Now,
that's right.
Obviously he's married and he's not doing it to some random chick in the club. The setting makes sense for why this would happen. I mean, it's your wedding day. You get excited. You're with the one you love, and you're probably having a nice dance off or whatever. And maybe there's some intimacy involved, and you take that you know, the picture gets taken and you're enjoying yourself and you get carried away. But so for painting that kind of picture, I get why that could have happened. Now, to take it to where it happened in real life, in real time, to where it happens where you actually have the picture, now you're sat down, you're looking at it, and you're now putting it on social media. What is your thought process? So for me, the questions that come to my mind are, okay, Chandler, what were you actually thinking when you put it up? Like, did you really deep it? Did
That's
you
a
really
big
think,
question.
okay, I'm going to put this picture up and I'm expecting to get backlash? Was that
Yes.
your thought process before you clicked and confirmed that the picture could go up? Or were you literally just, you know, just flicking through, saw the picture and thought it was nice and put it up without thinking?
He knew what he was doing.
Now, I'm more likely to go with the first one. I think he knew and was expecting that there would be backlash. I have no reason to doubt that was his thought process. He knew that he was going to get backlash. Okay, so now that we've established to some degree that he knew, my next question would be, okay, now that you've decided to put this picture up, what was the purpose for this picture? Was it because you wanted publicity? Because we know that these people are on a social platform. Therefore, publicity, whether it be good or bad, is, I think there's a saying that goes, you know, what's it called? Is it no publicity? Whether it's good publicity,
bad publicity is good publicity.
It's still publicity. You're still being spoken of. So in a way,
whether good or bad,
serves its purpose. It serves its purpose, which is that you want to be the trending topic. You want to be out there. You know,
girls say it.
That comes to my mind is that, you know, okay, I feel like this could have been a publicity stunt to get people talking about him. So as much as we like to see Chandler Moore as, you know, the go-to worship leader when you want to go into the spirit and connect with God, that he's your go-to person when it comes to, you know, getting there on the spiritual level, he is also a human. And I feel like in this situation, he erred on his judgment. There was definitely an error here. And that's where he showed his vulnerable side and his human side. And so my point being that, let's not forget, as much as we, you know, delve into the spirit with these people, let's not forget that they are human and that they will make mistakes. And when they do make when they do make mistakes, what is our role as, you know, a brother or a sister in this walk of faith? What is our job there? And like you mentioned, there is a job or there is a role of correctiveness. And how do we carry out that correctiveness? I think the Bible tells us that when we're correcting each other, we should be correcting in love. So that's the key thing here. It's not just to look at what's been going on and seeing that he's crossed that line of appropriateness and then turn away. No, it's to look at that and, you know, see what lessons can be learnt about that decision. And how do we also use that scenario to speak to our younger ones and those who are new in the faith as to, you know, how to carry that leadership role with accountability, one, and understanding that when you do slip up or when you fall, we're not coming here to judge you and to throw the book at you and say, we're just saying to you that, look, we get it. We're human too. We've fallen sometimes. We've slipped up. And, you know, as much as we understand that you are human as well, we're not saying that you can't, you know, that when you do show your human side, that we should just ignore it. No, we're saying that, you know, I think it says iron sharpens iron.
Yes,
so
exactly.
To help each other, to correct each other in love. And I think that's the key thing I want to bring out here, is the correcting each other in love. Now, taking it on a different direction now, this Christian race that we're running, it didn't start from today. It started way back. And the truth of the matter is, things are changing as time goes on. And like nothing in life stays the same. As much as we want to preserve some Christian values and we want to believe that there's a certain way that should be, there's a certain life that one should have when they're Christians. The truth of the matter is, the world itself is changing and evolving. How do us Christians in this changing and evolving world, how do we still preserve and maintain some of these Christian standards and values without being lost, without it being lost or without it being watered down? The reason why I bring that up is because I remember a time when we were growing up, speaking about my experience personally in my family, where my grandmom used to say, if you wear like short sleeves like this, you're not a Christian.
Exactly.
You can't be a Christian if you're exposing your arms, or you
Yep.
can't listen to that music because it has a certain drum or drum rhythm.
It
that
makes you
can excite
dance,
the body
basically.
to move in a certain way that can be seductive. And so therefore, when you're listening to Christian music, you shouldn't listen to Christian music that has drums. Maybe violins are better because maybe that's what's going to be played
Exactly.
in heaven.
I remember.
And drums are like, of the devil. And so when we're talking about
God,
drawing
so
lines
bad.
here, we really need to be careful because we don't want to come across as, one, condemning, as we said, and we don't want to be too far attached from the world that we live in. So I think as Christians, we've got a really tough job here where we need to be able to connect with the people as well as still keep our connection with God. How we do that
Yes.
is a real balancing act. It's a real balancing act. So that's my 2 cents on the whole thing. I think this line that we're talking about with Chandler Moore was definitely a line of appropriateness. Unfortunately for Chandler, he crossed that line of appropriateness. And so as Christian folk, our job is to just, correct him in love and just let him know that, look, we get it, you're married, you're allowed to do those things, but remember who you are, remember your what you represent, in the Christian community, you're a leader. And so like everything in life, it has what's it called? There's a level of appropriateness. When I go to work, I don't act the way I would act if I'm with my friends chilling. No, it's not
Exactly.
appropriate. So the same way when you go to work and there's an expectation of your behavior or your conduct, it's the same way when you go elsewhere in life that, you really need to be careful how you carry yourself and how you maneuver. So that's my opinion there.
Very, very
Awesome.
good points. Very, very
Can
good
we go
points
to
you
the
made there.
comments, ladies? I think we need to go to some of these comments.
Yeah, we can
Because
read some of them.
there's
And
quite
then
a lot.
as we're preparing for the next, yeah, absolutely. I've been seeing them go through as well. But that
Yeah,
was really
we're gonna
good
have to.
points
This
that
is gonna
Miss
have to
Rolo
carry
said.
over. It's gonna have to carry over 100.
Yes,
And next time, you
yes.
guys need to make sure you bring your friends because,
And your friends,
like,
right?
yeah, this is a lot. So
Yeah.
from Sega, first of all, Sega has said quite early on in the show, when we just spoke about sorry, I'm looking down because I'm looking at the comments on the laptop. So Sega has said, I find GSI page very interesting and unique and different to other Christian pages. And another comment, she said, we need to talk about everything and have a healthy discussion with a Christian view, which is, again, exactly what we're about.
Yeah.
Some of it is going to be opinion, but most of it is going to be based on our opinion as Christians. That's just the honest to God truth. And as Miss Rolo has been saying, and Lady T has been saying, looking at the Bible, one thing that we know, or we should know as we're progressing in this Christian race, is that when you read the Bible, you have to read everything in context. You have context is so important. You can't just read one thing that happened at this time on this day in this area and just assume that you can then literally translate that or transliterate, however you want to put that, into today's setting. It just doesn't work like that. So as Christians, and again, as Ms. Rolo said, let's sharpen each other, iron sharpened iron, on dealing with real life issues and on dealing with core Christian issues. This is what we're about, and Efua, she said, I think every believer at one point in time has made a questionable decision. And again, this is what we're talking about. We're all human. We are in this world. We're not of the world, but we are flesh in this world. And every day we struggle with our flesh, whether it be in church, whether it be at home, whether it be in the workplace, and whether it just be like deep within yourself, in your own private place, in your thoughts. We have day-to-day struggles, second by second struggles, which we try our best to control. So we can't slate people. We can't completely judge people and toss them out if they've made decisions that are questionable. It's about, as again Miss Rolo said, correcting them in love and guiding people, because we don't have all the answers. Sometimes we think we're correcting people, we think we're right with our corrections, and sometimes it really just isn't. So we really need to work together. Anyone else notice any other interesting comments?
Nope. Believers like to criticize rather. Is that the one you read? Rather than correcting love, getting that they probably have done worse or do worse.
That's another one. Yeah.
Just that they weren't caught, which is what I was saying before about being a hypocrite. And it's absolutely true, because we are very, very quick to do that, forgetting about what we do behind closed doors,
Yeah.
or what we have done in the past, you know, and then we're quick to now throw shade on somebody else or drag somebody else, despite knowing that deep within us that we have dealt with that matter before, or we're even still dealing with that
Exactly.
matter. But because we haven't been caught, we can have such a great opinion about certain things. So that is a very,
Right.
very, very valid point that she has
And another
raised
one
there.
from Abigail, she said, in my opinion, that's too much for social media. So again, this is about Chandler Moore's pick. They are humans and they got carried away with excitement when they posted it, but they shouldn't have. This is because they're leaders and they're role models to some people. So again, that is exactly what we're talking about. When you're a leader and when you're a role model, you kind of have to assess things differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Rightly said. And just to throw a spanner in the works, guys, I'm going to use myself as a tool for judgment. I mean, let's be clear. Like, we say it time and time again. We're Christians. I'll say it again. I'm a Christian. Lo and behold, I've got a T-shirt on with Tupac's face on it. Some people are going to find.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice
that. You're too much to comment.
They're going to be like, well, why don't you have a picture of the cross? Why don't you have a picture of Jesus, however you see him? And so constantly, as Christians, we are under the microscope. That is the truth. And I think the question we need to bear in, or I think the point that we need to bear in mind is this, you know, when we're walking this Christian walk, are we walking it for others, or are we walking it for ourselves? Now, I would like to believe that we are doing it for ourselves. However, others come into play with that, because no man is an island. We need each other. We need each other. And so, but at the same time, it's like, how much of ourselves, this is going to be a tough one, I'm telling you. How much of ourselves can be ourselves without pretending to be, I guess, holy, because we're expected to be holy. So, like we've said time and time again, some of us enjoy listening to Tupac. Some of us see Tupac as, you know, a role model based on certain things that he stood for.
Yeah.
Now, I'm using Tupac as an example because he's here with this picture.
Yeah.
You know, bless his soul, RIP and all. But I'm just using this as an illustrative purpose. So, some people will look at Tupac and say, you know what, Tupac was a gangster, or Tupac was a bad person, or Tupac was an activist. He believed that, you know, Black people should be given, you know, human rights. They should be given the basics in society to be able to thrive, to be able to be to be successful, etc. So I'm using him as an example because with Chandler Moore as well, some people may see Chandler Moore and see that he's a worship leader. Some people will see Chandler Moore and see like he's a young man, he's a young lad, he's getting married, he's having a good time. There's nothing wrong with him, you know, doing that with his. So I think this kind of situation can sometimes be subjective as well. When you look at something,
that's right.
When you look at a thing, what do you see? And another thing is, what do you want to see? What do you want to see as well? Because for me, when I look at that picture, yes, I see that a line of appropriateness was crossed, but at the same time, I'm not looking at Chandler Moore like he's holier than me. I'm not looking at him as he's, you know, up here and I'm down here, because only God really knows, or truly knows, who's serving him. So all of this that we're doing right now, service, only God really sees the heart. So for me, 100. I think we need to how we look at people. We need to look at people through the lens of nobody is better than anybody. We're all walking and struggling with this Christian race. We're all to judgment, but that judgment, you know, truly and frankly is going to come from God.
Yeah.
Bearing that in mind, I think the disclaimer or the fine print is that expect judgment also as Christians from your own Christian folk. When it comes to condemnation, that's still going to come from us anyway. So to be honest, it's like you can't really win. The only way you can, I guess, avoid the arrows of judgment is to take yourself off of social platforms or any social interaction or activity. Because, like I said, my grandma used to find this inappropriate. So what am I supposed to do?
No way.
Our line of appropriateness. Where are we supposed to refer to? I think the Bible is our is our go-to when it comes to that, because people, you cannot please everybody. That's the truth. So what does the Bible say about being appropriate. I think, can we delve into that and discuss that as we round up?
Definitely. Well, this is
we're gonna
why,
have to continue.
sorry to interrupt you. This is why we need to take it to the next level in the next show, because what we don't want to do is just throw our opinion. We want to give scriptures. We want to give proper examples, you know, in the Bible. And we want our audience to also prepare for that. Like today, we haven't been able to engage with the audience that much in terms of having a proper discussion based on something someone has said at the moment. But we do want to do that next time we are live. So please, guys, as Miss Rolo has said, you know, we're ready to take this conversation to the next level now. We want to actually start providing solutions. We're going to, of course, look at more scenarios, but we're now going to be very solution based. So again, when you're joining us next week, well, the next time we're live,
2 weeks time,
in about 2 weeks time,
to be continued.
2 weeks time, prepare your scriptures. So don't come and just start giving us opinion. Prepare your examples, real life examples. Prepare scenarios that you want us to talk about as well. You know, if you can drop us a message, drop us a couple of pictures so that we can also be informed and discuss it on the show, that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But there is something that I will say before we definitely round up. And I was actually going to bring up another picture as an example, but that's just going to take us into another discussion.
Another hour.
I won't bring it for now. No, I definitely won't bring it for now. I'll bring it for our next discussion.
Yes,
that's another key one that we have to talk about. But just touching as a roundup factor on some of the things that we said, especially for the viewers that are watching us, those that are mature in Christ, which are probably people that are watching us. I think one of the things that I am going to say that I will take with this is that obviously as a leader in any form of office, even our prime ministers, our president, ministers, everybody has appropriateness, which is a key word with you today, and a decency and an expectation of how you need to lead. Now, one of the greatest assignments that the Lord has told us through his word and through the Bible is the Great Commission. We are all, if you call yourself a disciple of Christ or a follower of Christ, is that we're all expected to preach the gospel one way or the other and share the gospel. And one of the ways we're going to do that is through our lifestyle. Yeah. Now, fair enough, you have people judging you depending on what you put in the public eye and out there. And I guess the safest thing for those that do want some form of summary from this is that obviously you're going to have to put out there what is deemed appropriate, what is deemed as an expectation for the kind of person that you are calling yourself. Now, if you are, even though we have said today that people are human and this and that, la-di-da-di-da, that's perfectly true. But really and truly, I would not stand ignorant, especially as a fact of a leader, that if you are a leader, you will still have to behave a certain way because people are following you and looking up to you. So therefore, if you are putting that standard out there, it's just automatic. We as humans, if we're going to follow a leader, we're going to expect them to act a certain way, put certain things out there. And the littlest thing that they do that's out of the ordinary or out of order, we'll pull it up and say that, okay, it's because they're human. Let's give them a bit of grace. But the truth is, as a leader, there is an expectation in terms of our behaviors. That's it. You know, like for example, myself and my spouse as well, we would be expected, and I know him already. He's only going to put what he stands for and believes in, and all you're going to see on these pages is fire, flyer, preach, scripture. Even though he is human behind, because the minute if he dare put something like what you've just seen out there, people will drag. People will be concerned because he as a leader possibly shouldn't be doing that, and that's the truth of the matter. That's not to say he does anything dodge, by the way. But unfortunately, that is the role that we have called ourselves to, as leaders. And it's the truth. And people that are, even as Christians, people that are high in the faith, people that are not so high in the faith, they will look at you and they're like, okay, if you're living that life, then I'm going to expect you to live that life 100%. I'm going to expect that when I come to your page, I'm going to be blessed. I'm going to be touched. I'm going to be impacted. I'm going to read something positive. I'm not going to see something negative. Because the minute you do that, I can assure you, me and even us that are talking today would be like, hold on a second. Excuse me, GSI. Is that not pastor this? And you've been there shouting, raving in tongues, leading us in prayers, telling us that we're doing this and this. Because obviously everyone wants to be inspired by someone that follows the book or almost looks like they're following the book correctly. That's the truth. Despite our human and our flesh, we still want to be inspired. That's why a lot of us follow TD Jakes and we respect him. And we use him as a high-profile example I don't know if it was Ando or Miss Rolo that said, imagine him doing that with Sarita. Of course, a lot of people are going to be like, what is going on here?
Exactly. The world is ending.
Or the demon entered his soul because of the level of how he preaches. And let's be honest, he preaches fire. He spits fire. He's been consistent throughout the board. So the minute he does do something that's, yes, in the human flesh, and he probably knows this as a leader, and he puts it out there, he will be like, no, TD Jakes, we're disappointed because we saw you as, at least let's know that we have some good generals out there that are leading by proper example, which is true, the appropriate example, the standard example, that's not a bit out of order, if that makes sense. Yes, we have those that want to lukewarm it and those that are making people a bit confused and be like, okay, so what are we supposed to follow here? But then we have the consistent generals across the board, and you know, like him and like many others as well, that have kept it like at a level that we like, okay, no, this one, we can't even fault him. He's a good leader. That's the truth. Yeah. And then you've got those that are, okay, well, you know, he's, you know, Mr. Gray, he's had a bit of controversy. You know, a bit in, but we'll respect him as a leader. But yeah, we know he's human, so we know kind of what to expect from him. So I might not listen to him too much because he's a bit, you know, confused.
This is it. This is it.
But
this is it.
This comes with a call. So I understand, if we're going to be leaders, we do need to be leaders by proper examples, and we need to keep it consistent as much as possible. So sometimes that will mean sacrificing, because that's the idea of the role. The Queen of England, she sacrifices.
Is she going to be twerking? Well, she can't anymore with God rest his soul, you know. But come on, even from a non-Christian perspective, good point, Lady T.
You know, people sacrifice. That's the truth. Prince William and his wife, I've forgotten her name already. Is it Kate Middleton? She has to sacrifice. Yes, they might not want to be like that in a certain ways in public, but look at the pressure that we as English people put on them to be a certain way as Meghan. Royals. It just comes with the territory of the role. And the minute you step out of line, people won't understand it. And if they do try to understand, they'll be like, they won't take you seriously. They'll be like, this one, nah, I don't think I can trust my faith in their hands. Let's go to the one that's been consistent, because everybody wants somebody that's been consistent, that they can trust their faith, their soul, and their mind and their heart with. And that's the truth. And that's just my own conclusive little talk there, guys. So until next time, we will be to be continued. We are rounding up now, guys, so we don't bring it up. There's so much more to talk about. But like the ladies have said, will deal with that. And I love the question that Miss Rolo put out there, and we will definitely deal with that. 100. It really got me thinking that with the modern day Christian, with the times that change, how would we advise or expect other people to, you know, balance that kind of life with how things are changing now as a Christian? Because the old time Christian is different from the new time Christian. That's the truth. The one that used to believe that we don't wear sleeves and we shouldn't wear trousers as women and we shouldn't play drums in church is now,
or even
that
speak in church.
That person can't strive right now. Or the one that doesn't believe that women should preach in church, or that old school stuff. What are we dealing with now? And how do we find a balance? I think we need to have a special guest on the show, maybe. A couple of special guests, maybe next week, or rather in the next 2 weeks, or maybe if we're going to have a part 3 and review. But definitely, I think we should probably get someone on the show that can also share, maybe a special guest somewhere.
Just stay tuned to find out.
Exactly. So thank you so much.
Yes, ladies and gents, it's been amazing as usual.
Yep. Assignment: bring your scriptures. Like Anders Slay said, bring your scriptures, bring your backing, bring your text, anything else you want us to throw in there that you've been concerned about. Please bring them on. We're still dealing with this in our next part 2 of this topic, because yes, we want to bring it from a scriptural stance, and we still have more examples to show you, and then we want to deal with that ultimate question of how do we deal with these things now in modern day Christianity. So God bless you all, our viewers. God bless you all. Ladies, is signing out. Great discussion. Take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you on the other side.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.